Hi, my name is Mari Marquez, and I am the Director of Administration and Board Secretary at EricsHouse. I am here to tell you a part of my story and to share how instrumental EricsHouse has been for me in my grieving journey. Back in 2018, I received the most devastating call I could ever imagine. I was told that my husband had suffered an unexpected and sudden accident in which he burned his body. Hearing those words was shocking. I was in disbelief, and I started to have a panic attack. At the time, my husband was still conscious and talking. And I remember telling this individual to tell my husband that I love him and that everything was going to be okay. I remember hearing my husband say, "I love her too." And those were the last words I ever heard from him. By the time I got to the hospital, my husband had already been intubated. They needed to get him in quickly because he burned almost 80% of his body. Alex went under multiple surgeries, and on October 25th of 2018, he took his last breath and passed away. I was in such disbelief and in shock because Alex was a healthy 36-year-old man who was highly intelligent. He had a heart of gold, and he was just a beautiful soul. So it was unimaginable to think that this would happen to someone so kind and so good. And but it did. It did. And at the time of his passing, I didn't know if I was pregnant with our second child. And it was incredibly unreal. It just feels like this is something that cannot be happening to me, but it is. And unfortunately, 4 months prior to Alex's death, I watched my father take his last breath as he lost his battle to pancreatic and liver cancer. And 2 months prior to Alex's death, I had left my career of many years to try to expand our family. Losing my father was incredibly hard because I was so close to him. But losing my husband was very different. It was much harder. Because when you are a spouse, your entire life completely changes. Things change for a widow from the moment they wake up to the moment they go to sleep. You are impacted emotionally, mentally, physically, financially, socially. I was still grieving the death of my father when I was burying my husband. I was completely lost. I was broken. I lost my identity as a wife, as a mother, and as a woman. Because everything that I knew to be true was gone. This took me to a very dark place because I wanted to be so desperately with my husband. But I still needed to be here because we had a 13-month-old daughter, not even walking yet at the time of his passing. I knew that I needed to seek professional help. I did struggle to find reliable sources and resources for a young widow. I remember I attended a few support groups, but the demographic was very different and I couldn't relate. I felt so isolated with my losses. And my mother-in-law was the one who told me about EricsHouse. She had attended a retreat for grieving parents that was facilitated by Mari Marquez. And I was so distraught and lost. I didn't even know if what I was experiencing common or what you consider normal. I just didn't know how to move forward. The people around me were all grieving, whether it was the loss of my father or the loss of my husband. And I remember thinking that no one can help me with all of this. But thankfully, I did find EricsHouse. And I saw Mari Marquez for grief counseling. And just the level of love and support and guidance and just compassion that she showed towards me was monumental for me. I had tried different things to help me in my grieving journey and nothing was working. And this was the first thing that really made a difference. Since then, I have also done Reiki, spiritual direction, and mediumship. I personally needed a lot of help. I had multiple losses in a very short amount of time. And this organization changed my life. I went from not wanting to live to wanting to help others in a similar situation. I now have created a national resource site and blog called embracingwidowhood.com that provides resources, reputable resources for the widowed community. I remember struggling to find these resources, especially for a young widow. And I also know what seeking the right support did for me. So I want to now help others and pay it forward in that way. I am incredibly thankful for finding this wonderful organization that really helped me during my darkest times. I really don't know if I would still be here if I hadn't found them. Thank you so much for letting me share my story. Take care.